You already know this is Punch Drunk Boxing, a.k.a. Mr. Moo. Shout himself. Now, first and foremost, shout out to Shakur Stevenson, the 3-division world champion, and also Africa, Richardson Hitchins, the IBF junior welterweight champion. And seem like they coming together. It seems like they back at being friends and brothers, and that's a great thing to see. Now, we understand in the sport of boxing that a lot of people like to capitalize off the lucrative business model of writing and creating content about hate, drama, toxic negativity, and stuff like that. They don't want to share and highlight the positive because, like I said again, people want to capitalize off the lucrative narratives, the negative narratives. Bad press sells. Drama sells, negativity sells, and I think it's time for us as culture could build on and make positivity lucrative. I'm gonna give you an example. Look at Mace and Cameron, right? For years, they've been frenemies. They've been at odds. A lot of people, a lot of outlet has capitalized off their division, right? But look what happens when they do come together, right? Look what happens. Look, they're doing great business, and it also sends a message to the culture. It sends a message to people that, it's better to be friends. It's better to come together and forget about the division, because their division also divide other people that also supports them, right? So I wanna share light that, shout out to Shakur and Hitchins for, coming together and being friends once again, and probably clarify things that in which the reason why they did have a fallout, right? And it wasn't that serious enough for them not to be friends and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to see a fight, a boxing match. Genuinely, like, I would love to see a Shakur Stevenson versus Keyshawn Davis fight, even though that I know that they're brothers and I understand the dynamic of their friendship, right? I just say as a boxing fan, like, yeah, because they're in the same division, and if I want to see the ultimate greatness come out of them, right? Like, Keyshawn Davis is a champion in the 135-pound division, and Shakur Stevenson is a champion. Now, if Keyshawn Davis fights Vasily Lomachenko and unify the titles, or Shakur Stevenson fights and beats Gervonta Tank Davis and unify the titles, then, of course, as a boxing fan, what I'm supposed to be asking for, the best fighting the best, right? But I understand the dynamic of their friendship and brotherhood that is bigger than that. But as a boxing fans, come on. So this is not the case, as I wouldn't like to see if Shakur Stevenson move up and dare to be great and not fight Richardson Hitchins. But what I'm saying is that let's share light. Like, we always wanna do videos and talk about when people get arrested, but or domestic violence or get arrested with gun charge and then they beat the charges. We don't like to talk about the beating of the charges. We don't talk about what they do great in the community. Like, I see a lot of people always trying to diss Jamal Charlo, but when he went out there, to orphan and uplifted a lot of the youth, people wasn't sharing light to that. Jamel Charlo paying for Patrick Day's funeral. We don't talk about that. Even Flo Mayweather, what he's done outside of the ring, that is good. People don't want to talk about that. You see how now it went from, he's losing money, he really doesn't sell, he really didn't buy all them buildings and stuff like that. Like, why we want to capitalize off that? You know what I'm saying? I think it's time that we change the narrative and change the business model and make positivity the most lucrative story. And the more that we do that, if we do change the culture of press, of media, of independent media, of YouTube boxing content creators, look, and also the fighters, y'all need to also share light on the positivity. You got to share light of the people that do support you as well. I see a lot of fighters out there in Twitter always engaging with the hate. And guess what? If that's going to spark a reaction and you're going to entertain it, there's going to be people out there, that's what it is. That's what it is, how to get their attention, is to hate them, to say something slick, something to devalue them and discredit them, and then they're gonna have these engagement. You know what I'm saying? But if you support, then people going to be like, you get their attention by supporting. You get their attention by loving. So I'm glad to see Shakur Stevenson and Richardson Hitchins, hopefully regain that type of friendship that they once had, because boxing is not going to be everything for the rest of their life, you know. Boxing is a short career. You never know what happens. And it's good to see these fighters that at the end of the day, they can only understand each other. As much as the fans see from the outside looking in, and we're fans of the combat world, that's not in that life and risking our lives like these men, nobody understands them but each other. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we see more of a brotherhood, more of a community that also supports and protects these fighters as well. You know what I'm saying? Because the only people that's going to give them their props, and the only people that's going to really break down what the greatness in them is going to be us. If we hate on everybody and be toxic on everybody, then our sport is not going to be in the forefront of sport entertainment, right? And we all know in America it's going down. You know why? Because we hating every American successful boxer. You know what I'm saying? We're not speaking highly of them, and the casuals looking at them like, let's see misfits. You know? So shout out to, see, is a great thing. Look, a lot of people see that Jamal Charlo as brothers was at odds at one point. Now look, they training together. Isn't it a beautiful thing? Seeing the twins training together and stuff like that. Why it's not a major story? Why is not a major story? But of course, if Jamal Charlo get locked up and DUI, then everybody is talking about it. If Earl Spence is locked up, everybody's talking about it, but nobody's talking about the great things that probably he's doing in his community and helping other people, right? Teofimo Lopez, yo, look what he's doing. Look, but he goes to juvenile detention center to speak to the juveniles as well. You know, a lot of these fighters do a lot of great things. Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? Doing food drives. How many people do videos of him doing a food drive and stuff like that? No. Bill Haney talking to Columbia University and stuff like that, being a spokesperson. Why nobody's talking about all these things? You know? So shout out to everybody that's doing their thing outside of the ring. And hopefully we share light on the positive. Let's capitalize off the positive. Let's make the positive lucrative. Let's make positive news lucrative again.